How you want me to do that? I can't see it until you start it.
Alright guys, sorry about that. New setup here, we're trying to perfect it, get it all situated. But welcome in, sorry for that little delay, for your weekly dose of Trainer Talk Tuesday. Now, today we're going to talk about the most common mistakes that you're making in the gym. We're going to close these windows real quick so you can hear us a little bit better. Alright guys, so sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear us better now and we're all good to go, but we're going to talk about the most common workout mistakes that you're probably making. So whether you're a seasoned gym goer or you're just getting started for the first time, it's really easy to get kind of caught up in a routine and kind of get stuck in your ways, but a lot of times we don't know if what we're doing is the right thing to do or not, or if it's the most effective thing that we could be doing. So guys, regardless of how long you've been going to the gym, listen up, because I guarantee you have or are currently doing at least one of these things. So getting right into it, guys, the most common workout mistakes you're probably making. Number one, skipping your warm-up. And I see this so often when typically when we would go to like big box chain gyms where people would just go right into like heavy lifting or just like straight into the routine, and there's no preparation beforehand to kind of get their muscles and their body and their mind ready for that type of load. And there's a lot of reasons why this is not something you want to do, guys. You should never skip your warm-up. The main thing is that it's going to put you at a high risk of injury. If your muscles are not warmed up and properly lubricated so you're able to perform certain movements, then the risk of you getting hurt during those heavy lifting sessions is going to skyrocket.
Yeah, guys, very easy one to hear for the most part, as far as just one to understand that you need to warm up your muscles prior to you doing something that's going to be a lot more impactful on the body. So you don't want to go from 0 to 100 in this instance. You want to have a slow build up, like we said, kind of get your joints, get your muscles and everything nice and warm and prepared to lift. And so that way you not only are you at a low risk of injury, but you get a much more efficient and much more effective workout as well. And then the recovery process is a lot more suitable for you going over the next few days.
Yep, guys, so even if your mind is already there and you're like, I'm just so ready to hit the weights, I'm ready to get it in, it does take a while for your body to get to that point. So warm up, guys. That's the way that you combat this mistake. Do a warm up. And a warm up is something simple. It can be anywhere from like 5 to 15 minutes depending on what you're doing. And you're going to look for movements that are body weight based or dynamic stretching. We'll get into that later on during this video. Or just simple movements that you can do that aren't going to make you break a big sweat. They might get you sweating just a little bit, but it's going to make you feel good, get your temperature rising just slightly, heart rate elevated just a little bit. But on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is going all out, I'd say you're probably at like a 3 or a 4. We're not pushing ourselves. We're definitely not going to 1 rep maxes or going to muscle failure during our warm-up. It's just to get the body ready for what's to come.
And just to elaborate on that just a tad bit more, make sure that warm-up is associated with whatever muscle groups that you're going to be training that day. So if you're going to be doing a chest workout, you want to make sure you warm up that chest properly. prior to you putting on a heavy load of weight and then cranking it out from there. So whatever you're going to train that day, make sure you properly warm those muscles up prior to you getting into the extensive portion of your training circuit that day.
And I guess I will end this first point with what Nate said. A lot of seasoned gym goers will warm up with a much lighter weight than what they would typically do, and that's also an option, guys. Although we suggest you to warm up with body weight movements as well, you can do that. In the example that Nate gave, if you're doing a bench press and your working weight is 135, you should be warming up probably like around that, I would say like 85 to 100 range, where you can easily do 15 to 20 reps.
Yep, so that's the last portion there too, is higher repetitions, because you want to get those muscles, like we said, really, really going, not too extensive, but enough to elevate that heart rate slightly to, like we mentioned, to the point where you're at like a 2, 3, or 4 on that scale. Moving on to number 2 here, and this is a big one for a lot of people. Some people can get away with this and they do just fine, but for the most of us here in the training world, especially if you're new to it, you're going to need a plan, right? So not having a proper plan, not having your workouts written in advance, so that way once you get to the gym, you know exactly what it is that you came to do, and you're not walking around wasting time, letting your heart rate get too low as you try to figure out, hey, what should I do next? And you're really, really interrupting the benefit of that workout entirely that day, so you're not making as many gains as you would normally see if you were consistent, staying back to back, keeping those rest periods low and that work set high. So that is a major one for so many people. Even myself early on, I used to go to the gym before I had any real knowledge of it, and I would just do stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do some overhead push-ups here. I'm gonna do some squats over there. I may do a bicep curl over here, but I had no plan on what it is I was doing. Now, don't get me wrong, something is always going to be better than nothing, but having a plan, a sought out strategic program that you know that you're going to abide by is always, and I mean always, with a capital A, going to be most suitable for you to get the best out of your programs.
Yes, guys, and I would have to agree with Nate that I have been guilty of this one, probably more than any of the other ones that we're going to go through today. This is probably my weakest area. And you guys are probably laughing because, I mean, it's our job to literally plan and write out workout programs, but I think that's just it for me. It's like, oh, I'm a trainer, I can, I'll come up with it. And although I'm capable of doing that, when it comes to yourself, it's a lot more difficult to kind of just think on the fly and to get something that you're really going to get the full benefit out of. And if Nate and I, as professionals in this industry, are saying that it's difficult for us, then if you are someone who is not licensed in the fitness and wellness industry, you're not going to get great results by just winging it. So guys, make sure that you have a plan. And what we mean by that is not just a written out workout plan, but then also you want to make sure that you have a scheduled time to train. That is a part of your plan. Don't have it in your mind that like, I'll get to it, I'll do it whenever I have time, because the reality is you never will unless you actually pencil it in and put it in your calendar. There's always going to be something else that you will do to fill in that time slot. So make sure that you are really doing yourself an advantage by writing it down and making an appointment with yourself or with your trainer to hold you accountable.
Yeah, very good word, and that's exactly what I was going to jump to, is appointment. So just like when you go and you see your doctor or your dentist or anything of that nature, you have an appointment there so you know when to be there, what's going to take place when you get there, and so on. Your workout should be the same. It's an appointment for yourself. This is you holding yourself accountable and abiding by that every single day. Every single day, whether you're going to the gym that day or not, but something you want to make sure that you are following a plan and you're consistent with it day in and day out. And just like we talked about with the not having a plan, guys, you have seen people in the gym, if you've been to Planet Fitness, LA Fitness, wherever you are, here in St. Pete, they got places called Crunch Fitness and so on. You've seen people just walking around looking like they don't know what the hell is going on.
They're lost.
They use the machines wrong for the most part. They're in there. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm glad that they're there because, like I said, something's better than nothing, but they're never going to get the results that they probably are trying to get by coming there by not having a plan. So they just find themselves, just
walking around
gazing, looking at everyone else.
On their phone, that's a big one.
Yep, sitting on their phone. But long story short, guys, make sure, just like with everything else, you have a plan, you're consistent with that plan, and you're following it to the T.
Yes, guys. All right, I think that's enough on that one. Number 3, another common mistake that you're probably making with your workouts is doing static stretching before your workout. And I absolutely hate this one.
For me.
Oh, guys, I see this all the time. I actually see professionals preach this, so this is kind of a tricky topic. But static stretching, so let's first define it, are movements that you are holding for a period of time. So I'm sure that you guys are familiar with just like basic stretches that you can do and that you hold for a count. That is static stretching. A lot of people do this before they get their workout going as a warm-up. And although we encourage you to warm up, this is not the route that we want you to take. The reason for this is if you picture your muscles like a rubber band, all right? When those muscles are cold and you're being stretched, they're being stretched out and elongated, right? There's going to be a certain point that you reach where those muscles can snap, literally. And so we're talking heavy injury here, guys. And the way that you really combat that is by getting them warmed up, right? This is what I was talking about of, skipping your warm up, how we want to incorporate that. But static stretching is not the way to do that because your muscles are still cold. And holding a position for a time is not beneficial to do when your muscles are cold. The injury rate is going to skyrocket, guys. It's going to be super high because, again, picture that rubber band just being stretched and stretched and stretched. Eventually, it's going to snap. And then you have a lot of scenarios where people have tension. They have stress in their muscles, knots even. So if you were to tie that rubber band in a knot and just keep tying it in a knot over and over again and then stretch it out, what would happen? The tension is going to move to a certain part of the body. So typically that's going to be our joints, your knees, your hips, your elbows, your shoulder, and that's where you start experiencing pain and having that high risk of injury because those knots are being stretched and they're going to go to the weakest points. So keep that in mind, guys. We don't want to hold stretches before our workouts. That is something that we want to save for after the workout. So the way that you really combat this is by doing dynamic stretching. And dynamic stretching is basically doing the same movements. If you've ever played sports, these are like line drills that you would do in sports, and dynamic. So you're moving with the stretching movement. I don't know how else to explain that, guys. You're performing reps instead of holding for a time. And so that way you're gonna get those muscles warmed up, loosened up, and then ready to perform the workout that you have planned. It's going to full range of motion here throughout whatever movement that you're doing, whatever muscles you're trying to hit, and it's doing it for a number of reps.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase this. I think you laid it out pretty well. So I don't know exactly how I'm trying to say this, but pretty much what I'm getting to is like you mentioned, you don't want to stretch cold muscles. Like, guys, if you've ever been through, or if you're familiar with working out, if you worked out once or twice before and you did do it, static stretching afterwards, you remember how much more range you had once those muscles were warmed up versus when they were cold and you would like try to reach out and you feel very tight. Yeah. Then maybe on the second time around, now you start to feel a little bit better. You can get a little bit deeper, but that's because you're starting to move. So long story short, I think she laid that one out really good. Is guys, you really want to get some movement in first and then static stretch later. Once the muscle's broken down, and then now to help aid with the recovery and to keep those muscle fibers elastic and elongated, you want to stretch statically afterwards. That way, not only do you recover better, but your muscles respond better to your workouts there in the future so that you keep getting great results. So dynamic first, high knees, butt kickers, line drills, hell, even some light push-ups, maybe not as aggressive, so maybe you even using your knees or your hands are elevated, where it's not too much of a workload, but just enough where you're getting some motion, you're starting to warm those areas up. So then once that blood is pumping, the adrenaline gets going, you're feeling ready, now you're ready to tackle that workout, and then you want to start to cool down and get into the static side of things when you're letting that heart rate simmer down and you're in your cool down phase. But moving on to number 4 here, and this is going to be inconsistency, trend hopping. Now, this is another big one for a lot of people as well. It's just like that guy that's walking around in the gym and he's just lost and he's just trying to, he see what everyone else is doing, so he can go over in the corner and try that. We done seen people do that in the gym where I was doing something and I seen someone walking past, he didn't know what the hell was going on, but then I catch him on the other side of the gym trying to do the same thing that I was doing, not having a good concept of not even what muscles he's training, what's the proper form to be used while doing this movement, and he's just very inconsistent because you're not training those muscles to that degree or that often for you to get the results that are possible. So guys, when we talk about going all the way back to number 2 here with not having a plan, it kind of ties in here. We did use the word consistency there. It's because you need to be consistent. When you're inconsistent, you're really hindering your own results and you're limiting what you can possibly be able to do with your training regimen.
Yep, and then also like with the trend hopping, guys, I mean, you guys see it. There's always a new, fun way to work out, and I think these things are great, right? But you need to really dedicate what you're interested in and define what that looks like for you. You know, some people like Zumba, some people like swimming, some people like, you know, doing that, you know, like aerial yoga, like these different things that are super fun and exciting. They're great. I'm not trying to discourage them at all. What we're saying is that we want you to commit to that one thing and actually give yourself some time to be consistent to make sure if it works for you. That's more so what we mean than anything. We're not trying to tell you what to do or how to do it. As Nate mentioned before, any level of activity is good. It's something that we are advocates of. We want you to move your body and enjoy moving your body. So find that thing that you love, but commit to it. Don't do Zumba for a week and say, well, I didn't see any results, so now I'm going to do, you know, CrossFit. Well, I didn't see any results doing that, so now I'm going to do this. That's trend hopping. Commit to one thing, and you need to commit to it for a period of time, guys. I mean, we're talking at least 3 to 6 months before you're going to see significant change. And that's if you are doing the things that you're supposed to be doing, right? If those, you know, that's another video for another time, but if certain things aren't in line, you won't see results no matter what you're doing. If your nutrition, sleep, stress levels, all that stuff is not where it needs to be. But if you are really focused and you're being dedicated, you got to give it at least 3 to 6 months, guys. And that's with anything in life. You know this. It's with business, your careers, whatever you're, you know, planning a wedding. Like, that has nothing. Who plans a wedding? I mean, I'm sure there's some people, but most people don't plan a wedding in like 3 months or less. Most people don't, especially if they want a big wedding, because there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And if you want to get the results that you're looking for that event, then it takes some consistency and some planning. It's the same thing here, same thing with business. You're always looking at a time period of you being consistent and planning to actually get to where you want to be.
Right, and number 5 is probably going to be my favorite of our list today, and this is going to be getting too comfortable, not challenging yourself. One of the slogans I like to use is get comfortable being uncomfortable, meaning that you're always pushing and challenging yourself to get out of your own comfort zone, push past your own limits. And I'm not meaning anything too crazy, but what I'm saying is if you're doing your workouts and it's easy to you, it's very repetitive, you're not, you know, making any faces, or I don't necessarily, you don't have to make noises, but you're not doing anything that is actually requiring you to have to exert a tremendous amount of energy, then you're probably not challenging yourself enough, and you're really not going to get results the way that you would like to, because it takes a little bit of discomfort for your body to respond the way that it that it needs to for you to get the best results possible. And Larissa's really good at breaking this down, talking about all the different hormonal reactions that happens within the body when you push yourself to get out of your own comfort zone.
Yep, guys. So there needs to be an element of fear. And I don't mean that you need to be terrified or do something crazy and unsafe. I'm just saying that when we get out of our comfort zone in life or in the gym, there's that little level of fear, of apprehension, where you're like, can I really do this? And maybe for you that's doing a box jump at a different height that you've never done before. And if you guys have ever done a box jump, this is, I think, the perfect example, because literally every single one of our clients, they have that moment of hesitation when they're about to jump on that box. They're afraid. They're scared to do it because there's always that risk of they don't make it, or maybe they fall, or maybe they scratch their knee. Okay, so there is this small element of fear and just thinking that, like, this is impossible for me. And that's good. We want that for you to be able to get results, because fear produces adrenaline. Once that adrenaline is going and is pumping, fear produces adrenaline. Adrenaline produces growth hormone. Okay, so if you guys know what growth hormone is, this is a key element that is needed to get results in the gym naturally. Or actually, I'm sorry guys, adrenaline produces testosterone. So that's obviously a hormone that's needed to put on muscle. Testosterone produces growth hormone. Growth hormone and testosterone work together to get you the results that you're looking for naturally. So if you see people who might take steroids, this is the same effect that you're getting by taking steroids, except you can do it naturally in the gym based off of, like, obviously your genetics and your age is going to play a role, but these things can be manipulated naturally, the same type of results that people are overdoing with drugs. So guys, it's the same chemical response in the body, and ultimately growth hormone produces results. So fear produces adrenaline, adrenaline produces testosterone, testosterone produces growth hormone produces results, and that's what you're ultimately trying to get. And so it really is a domino effect, and it all goes back to the only thing that you need to worry about, because your body's going to do the rest if it's in a healthy position to do so, is challenging yourself, getting out of your comfort zone, being a little bit afraid that, man, I may not be able to lift this weight, or I may not be able to jump on this box, or I'm scared to put this barbell on my back. Those things are good if it's done in a safe environment. Now, I'm not telling you to do like you see these crazy videos of people doing like heavyweight barbell back squats on a stability ball. Like, that's scary, and we're not talking about that type of fear. We want you to be safe, and we want you to do things that are within your current fitness level, but are still challenging that fitness level. You're just pushing the envelope just a little bit, and you keep going. And the different ways that you can do this is by increasing the weight that you're using. So guys, if you started out lifting 15 pounds and whatever exercise you're doing, well, after a period of time, you're going to get stronger, and that's going to start feeling lighter. So you need to increase the weight to still get that chemical response that we were talking about, so your body can get results. Another way you can do this is by changing the rep range. Maybe you've been doing high reps for a long time now, and you need to add some hypertrophy training in there where you're building muscle and the rep range is lower, or even do strength training with 1 rep maxes, or somewhere in that like 1 to 3 rep range where you're really just working on power and strength. Other things that you can do is change the intensity in which you do these exercises. Are you doing them fast? Are you doing them, changing the intensity and the tempo. Are you doing them fast? Are you doing them slow? Are you controlling it in an eccentric motion? Are you holding it for a period of time? Are you doing static movements? These are all different ways that you can provoke change in the body. Also changing the equipment. So if you're used to doing push-ups and you've gotten really great at push-ups, maybe you should try the bench. Or maybe you should try doing a dumbbell chest press or flies. These things are a good way to switch it up. Even using bands, incorporating different equipment like that. We talked about the reps. Sets. I think that's the last one. Changing the sets. So a lot of times people get it stuck in their head that they have to do 10 sets of this exercise for 3 reps, and those are the magic numbers to get results, and that's just not true. Getting results has a lot more to do with that comfortability level and stepping outside your comfort zone, but then also just confusing the body, challenging yourself, not being repetitive, taking your body to a point where you're reaching muscle failure. And that doesn't necessarily matter what rep range you're in if you're going to muscle failure. That is just a level of training where you are taking your body to a point where you're doing as many reps as you can for however many sets that you've dedicated, and you're doing that until you cannot do any more. This is a tough type of training, guys, but it's very effective. It's incredibly effective. So basically that means when you feel like you can't do another rep, you do 2 more. And then that's where you really get the results that you're looking for, because again, you're getting outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, guys, so basically you need to ask yourself 2 questions when you're training, and depending on the answer to these questions, that'll let you know if you're working hard enough. If you're not asking yourself, why are you doing this? Or you're not asking yourself, or telling yourself, I want to quit now, then you're probably not pushing yourself past that comfort zone that you're in. You probably think you are, but if your body isn't responding and sending those messages that, why the hell are we doing this? Or like, stop now. And not a bad way to stop, but like you're challenging yourself. You're pushing yourself out of your own comfort zone. Your body knows or is used to whatever it is that you do. Whatever routine you have, your body's used to that. So when you start to do something a little bit outside of that, that's when those questions will start to occur and those feelings. And if you aren't there while you're working out, then you're not going to get those results again. So let's push past those limits. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Moving on to number 6.
Well, I'm going to add this very quickly. We always talk about this. Like, your mind is going to give up before your body does most times. So really having a level of mental toughness, like that's kind of what Nate was referring to. When your mind is telling you, don't do this, you don't want to do this, like, why are you doing this? And then you can switch that gear. If you have that in you to focus on the task that you're doing and to redirect your attention to, no, I'm getting this done because I know why I'm doing it, because I want to get these results. I want to look good for my wedding, or I want to be healthy for my grandkids, or whatever it looks like for you. When you can redirect that moment of regret. And I think the best comparison to this is if you've ever been on a roller coaster, regardless of how you feel about roller coasters, if you love them or you hate them, when you're on a big roller coaster, guys, we're talking like a huge drop, and you're going up real slowly on that roller coaster, you have that moment of, why the hell did I do this, right? I know I have, and I used to love roller coasters. When you're going up and you're just like, get me off of this now. Can we turn this thing off? Can we turn it around? Like, why am I doing this? You have that fear and that moment of regret. But then when it goes down, that feeling in your stomach kind of starts to normalize after you get going, and you're like, okay, maybe this is fun. Like, I'm having fun doing this. It's the same thing here, guys. Like, your mind's gonna have that moment of regret of like, why am I doing this? I don't wanna do this. I wanna turn around and go back home. But then once you decide, hey, I'm all in, I'm doing this, then that's where the fun and the magic happens. So guys, just redirect your attention, because your mind is the most powerful thing. Your body's going to be able to do a lot if your mind is in the right position to do so.
And guys, too, real quick, let me add this in, is why do you think that people who work out have, and again, this is not everyone, but a lot of people who work out consistently and with a purpose, why do you think these people see so much success in their lives every day, no matter what it is? It's because they are used to pushing past and being uncomfortable. A lot of us don't want to do things that makes us very uncomfortable. Yeah, and that's a real big benefit to working out. That's why when people start working out, yes, their body starts to look better and they feel good that way, but they build this level of confidence because exactly what we're talking about here, pushing past those limits and just understanding and becoming something entirely new where your confidence level now is at an all-time high. So now you are ready for that job promotion now. You are ready to do whatever it is that you've been waiting to do, but you've been holding yourself back because you've been in your own head. A lot of people, when they start working out, they start to see results. They start to get this tremendous amount of confidence in all different aspects of their lives. And I see this for a lot of people. And that's a huge benefit to working out, is just reshaping your mindset of getting out of your own way. A lot of us tend to get in our own ways a lot of the times. And working out is a real big component to kind of overcoming that. And I hope you guys kind of heard that there. And I just wanted to point it out because that's some of what we were speaking about when we were talking about getting out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself a little bit more. When you do that, all those things in life that you may question yourself of being able to do, now it becomes a lot more doable now because you achieve something that you probably didn't think you can do with fitness, and now that just carries over to other aspects. So I just wanted to lay that out. And going on to number 6 here, a very important one here. Insufficient fuel, not getting enough water in, keeping the body properly hydrated. That way your body's not retaining water, you're not cramping, and you're able to continue to push yourself in the gym to an extent to get results where you're not being hindered by, oh, my legs are locking up or my biceps are tightened, and etc. You want to make sure that your body is properly hydrated, get all those things that it needs so that your muscles could respond properly and you're not seeing a ton of cramping and so on and so on, like some people experience when they go to the gym and their body is running on insufficient amounts of fuel.
Yep, and this is also going to go back to like just your overall nutrition, guys, because so when we have a new person come work out with us, and the first day they might stop early because they feel nauseous, or they might actually get sick sometimes. 1 or 2 reasons this happens in our experience. I'll say 9 times out of 10, it's one of these 2 reasons that happens. The first one is that they just didn't eat enough. They haven't exerted this amount of energy in a select period of time in a very long time, or maybe they never have at all. And then now all of a sudden you're doing that. And so the first day is going to be rough. It's going to be rough, guys. I would say it takes about 2 weeks for your body to really adjust. You're going to be sore, but that initial shock of your body just like, okay, we're doing this, it's going to be tough. And sometimes people get nauseous or lightheaded. Now, if you're working with a professional, they can work around this, but a lot of times it goes back to the fact that you just didn't eat enough. You did not eat enough food in general. You just don't have enough calories to provide the type of energy needed to exert whatever you're trying to get done. The second reason that I see people getting sick or feeling lightheaded or just overall unwell when they get into a workout routine is the quality of foods they're eating. And we typically see this with our young kids. Nate he usually has trained, younger athletes in the past, and they'll go through the drive-thru at McDonald's or Burger King and get like this nasty, greasy cheeseburger and a bunch of fries and a Coke, and then they come to work out 15 minutes later. You're probably gonna get sick, guys, because the quality of food is just not there to provide the fuel that you need for the amount of exertion that you're trying to get done or the results that you're demanding your body to do. If you're, everything's got to be, in line with each other. It's like that saying, like you can't pray for an A on the test when you only studied to get a C type of mentality. It's kind of the same thing here, is that like you can't work out hard in the gym, or you can't get on that workout routine and schedule all these things that we talked about and then not give it the proper fuel that it needs to actually reach that level that you're demanding. Your body can only do what you fuel it with. It can only work off of that. So you have to make sure that, one, you're eating enough and that you're getting the high quality foods that your body needs to be able to perform these movements well. So again, guys, very generally speaking, we're just talking about the water intake, staying hydrated, getting your fruits and veggies in, like in abundance. Those should be your go-tos. And then Especially if you're trying to maintain or build muscle, you gotta have a certain level of protein intake for that to be possible, or else you're just gonna break down muscle and that's it. You'll just keep breaking it down and you won't be able to get the results that you're looking for because you're not giving your body the protein intake that it needs to be able to do that.
Guys, what you put in determines what you get out. And what you get out determines what you put in. Think about it. All right, let's go ahead and put it in number 7.
All right, guys, number 7, the very last common workout mistake that you're probably making is overlooking the need to recover and just completely disregarding the concept of overtraining. So, guys, especially if you're just getting started out, as I mentioned before, it's going to be rough at the beginning. You're going to be sore. There's no way around it. It's going to happen. And you need to let your body recover from that soreness. Ways that you can combat this, obviously, just in general, if you're sore, drinking enough water, massage, foam rolling, stretching, Epsom salt baths, essential oils, those things can help. But if you're working with a professional, we are going to separate your body groups. So for instance, if you come in and you're like, man, my legs took a killing yesterday, like I can barely walk, we're not gonna hit your legs again, okay? We're not going to do it because we understand the importance of recovery. We'll hit upper body. It's fine, we can switch out the muscle groups or switch up our training programs as needed. So as long as you're communicating with your trainer or professional, that shouldn't be an issue. If you're doing this on your own, then you need to be mindful of that. Just because you had leg day planned on, a Wednesday, doesn't mean it has to be done on a Wednesday. Yes, we want you to have a plan, but you need to be willing to adapt to those things depending on how your body is feeling. And if it needs to recover, it needs to recover. And maybe that means you, do the upper body workout instead. Maybe that means that you just go on a walk and you focus on stretching for the day. Maybe that means that you sleep. You need to learn what that means for your body at that time, depending on where you're at in your journey. But recovery is so, so important, guys. Do not neglect it. And the concept of overtraining is often laughed at. Now, I will say this, it's very hard, difficult to go to a state of overtraining. But I see it very often with beginners. Now, once you're a seasoned gym goer or you're someone who has been in a consistent routine, it's very difficult to get to this point. But as a beginner, you can do it in the first week. If you have that certain mentality where it's all or nothing, then this is probably something that you need to pay attention to because you're most likely doing this. People who have that all or nothing personality will not work out for years, but when they decide that they're going to work out, they work out every single day for an hour or two for that first week, and then they're dead. Their body didn't have time to recover. It wasn't ready for that type of load. I mean, we're talking about people who are like, go from nothing to, they're like, I'm going to do 2-a-days, and I'm going to train for a marathon, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And you guys know that there's people like that out there, and maybe that's you. Your body is going to go to a state of overtraining because it's just too much, too fast. And a very clear example I can give to this is someone who gets shin splints. All right, this is very common, especially amongst runners. And although the quality of your shoes matter in this, typically shin splints occur. We're talking about tears in your muscles where your shins are, and it's extremely painful. Typically this occurs because you want to go out and run too much, too fast. So you do overload from what your body is ready to commit to. So guys, if you want to train for a marathon, if that's your goal, you don't go out and run 26.2 miles the first day. No, you might do 1 mile or half a mile, depending on where you're at. You might walk the whole time and you don't even run. You don't just jump to the end right when you're getting started. You have to build and earn that. You have to train your body to get to that point. And if you just jump all in, you're most likely going to suffer injury, or you're just going to give up altogether because it was too much, too soon, and it's not something that you can maintain long term.
Yeah, I think you pretty much laid it all out there. The main thing I want to focus on, though, guys, is the recovery aspect of it, because where a lot of us is going to be. And guys, you just need to give your body time to recover from your workout. So that don't mean that you necessarily need to take multiple days off in between, but what it is that you need to have some variance to what it is that you're doing so that your body can recover and you can continue to get those best results possible. And a lot of us don't want to feel this can be an overwhelming process for a lot of beginners where they don't get that proper time recovery and they train too hard and then they go right back into it and they just feel like, immobile, like they can't really do the things that they need to do in their everyday lives. Their body feels just too worn down, too tired. So allowing yourself to recover, doing those proper stretches, dynamic before, static afterwards, making sure you put all the right things in, so getting a proper amount of fuel, whether that's your fruits and veggies or your water intake, and then getting a good night's rest every night. That's going to be very, very important to help aid with that recovery process. Don't skip the stretching portion of it, and don't knock the amount of sleep that you're going to need while you're trying to stay on a consistent training program, because you're gonna need those energy levels high so that you can push yourself out of that comfort zone and keep getting those results, guys. So take your recovery very, very serious, and then listen to your body, and then try to push past those limits when it's time.
Yep. So there you have it, guys. The most common workout mistakes you're probably making, and we're gonna do a quick recap here. Number 1 is skipping your warm-up. 2 is not having a plan. 3 is doing your static stretching before your workout, not after. Big no-no. Number 4, you're inconsistent or you do trend hopping. Number 5, you're getting too comfortable and you're not challenging yourself anymore. Number 6, you have insufficient fuel and water intake. And number 7, you overlook the need to recover and you don't take into consideration the concept of overtraining. So guys, go ahead and let us know in the comments if any of these apply to you, if you found this video helpful, and let us know, guys, which one of these are you doing, and do you plan on taking some of the suggestions that we mentioned for that particular point and applying it to your own life. So, you have anything else to add?
I felt like I did. Only thing I'm thinking about is how bad I smell right now, because I cut the yard not too long ago, and I'm struggling getting our self-installed Wi-Fi kit set up, so I'm pretty angry about that. So I'm ready to get back to that and figure this out, and then get a good hot shower in. And I haven't even eaten today. So
we're talking about insufficient fuel. See? Didn't have a plan, guys. Didn't have a plan.
Hey, we just moved out of state, 1,000 miles away from home. We're figuring things out. Even though there's no excuse, I've just been thinking like, is that me? Is that me in here? I turned on the ceiling fan and tried to spread it out, and I just cut the yard.
We had a
hot experience.
We had a rough start because obviously Nate just said we just moved. We're trying to figure out where is the best place to shoot these videos. How do we put the camera up? What looks the best? And little things that we ran into. Having the windows open was too loud just then. Now we're burning up. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I'm dying because I have on so many layers of clothes.
So I turn it on, try to turn it up higher.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna open up these windows as soon as we log off, guys. We're hot, so that's just a part of it. Thank you for bearing with us.
Next week we'll be a lot better, but
we'll perfect this next week. We're gonna get it down.
But we're all still looking to see you back here tonight at 6:30 p.m. We will be back doing live boot camps today, so I'm looking forward to that. And we're gonna ease you guys into it. We know we haven't been on with you for almost 2 weeks now?
It's been hit or miss. I mean, we have always posted a workout for you guys to do, but we will be back live for you guys consistently every Tuesday and Thursday, so watch out for that.
Yep, so, and with that being said, guys, do you want to add anything else about that?
Never give up.
Never lose hope.
Never settle.
All right, look, guys, we'll see you back here next Tuesday for Train Talk Tuesday, and also tonight for boot camp, and then also this Thursday for our advanced level of boot camp. Until then, deuces, have a good one, and remember, listen to the body, properly fuel, that way you can get those best results.